you step into his world with his mind, you will see it quickly change into a beautiful, exciting world of fantasy.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of A Seat at the Table, where we have dope discussions over, well, usually food, but today, thanks to our sponsor, Bombay Lemonade Vodka. A local
Amazing.
Very great taste.
Phenomenal.
Right.
It has this almost electric citrus, distinguished sort of flavor behind it. And I'm feeling good. I don't know how y'all feeling.
Oh, I feel good too.
I think we need a toast.
Oh, yeah.
What are we toasting to?
Greatness.
Greatness.
Yep. There we go. Oh, shit.
Cheers.
And it's black owned.
Black on, baby.
I don't know if you said that, but
Yes, indeed.
it's black owned.
So I was looking at the bottle earlier and it said handcrafted in the kitchen of my friend Jermaine in Atlanta. Ooh. It was not long till his friends calling it the Bomb Lemonade shortened its name to Bombade. This fresh lemonade flavor with vodka created such a demand. I was pleased to help him with production of Bombade. So, originated in Atlanta and distilled out of Tennessee. 60 proof. Get you right where you need to be.
As you can tell, she lit as a mother.
I feel
Right. Turn.
All right, man. So, so this is sponsored by Bombade. I'm Marcus Avery.
I'm Kelsey Nishay.
I'm Eric, a.k.a. Easy Money. This is y'all first time meeting me.
Give me a
I
rundown.
am a content creator, business owner, mobile podcast business owner,
Right.
and just all around dope dude.
All right. What's the name of your podcast?
So my podcast is called Not Safe for Work.
Okay.
My company is called 121 Dreams, helping people get 121 dreams out.
Nice. And Kelsey, tell them again what you do again one more time.
Yeah, I'm Kelsey Nishay. I am a brand strategist and copywriter. I specialize in copy for commercials, press releases, a variety of things. And I also like to host. So.
All right, man. And this is an extended family. Well, you're going to see them regularly more than often, man. But, today's episode, we're going to get right into it, y'all. We just had the passing of a legend, Kobe Bean Bryant. All right, man. So, guys, let's talk about what is your first memory of Kobe Bryant? Or what is your first memory first? Let's do that.
Well, I'm going to go first because I don't really watch sports.
Okay.
But it's something about this happening that has been very emotional for me. I think making me feel like life is just short.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
Absolutely.
I was at work earlier this week after hearing, and I just started crying. It was playing on the TV, and they were talking about him passing away and his daughters and his wife, and it just made me feel like you never think that you're going to be the woman who finds this fairy tale guy that you are madly in love with, and you make all of these life decisions together, and you have this big, beautiful, wonderful family. And then you'll have to go the rest of the way and down the rest of the road without them.
Yeah, that was kind of a hard thing for me too, is because it's like Kobe, man, he did everything at legendary status. It wasn't nothing he did that was mediocre, and for him to just recently have retired, right. It's almost like he didn't get to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Of course, his family will, and us as the fans, we got to enjoy him doing all of this hard work. But that was the hardest part for me, because it's like, my thing in life is like I want to work as hard as I can, but I also want to have that after, like the retirement where
Right.
it's like, damn, everything I did was for this, you
That
know?
second part of life, right?
Right. So that was the hardest part. It's just like seeing that you can do all of that work and then still leave,
Facts. So, what is your first memory, though? That was the question.
Yeah, it
So What
was.
was your first memory? Dude,
It
y'all
was.
first seen Kobe, was it like him going into the prom with Moesha, or like the first one? Do you remember that shit?
I did see
You
that.
did remember that? Okay.
That was
Okay.
mine with Moesha.
So She can
I
relate to
love
that.
Moesha.
Okay.
I watched it every week. So let me reverse and say Moesha was my first
Okay.
with Kobe Bryant. What,
What do you
what about
think?
you?
Because I have so many memories of him,
Right.
it's hard for me to say my very first, but I just know watching him play was just like, damn, like
Yeah.
this dude was like, at first it was like, I don't want to let go of Jordan and my love for Jordan and
Facts.
accept this new person that's coming in and captivating the league.
Right.
But he fought so hard you had to.
Yeah.
Right.
He fought to make you like him as a player. That's what I remember. I remember my first one was probably the dunk contest.
Oh yeah. Oh
What
yeah.
was that?
So the dunk contest where he did the 360 and then he stuck his arms out and he was like, yeah. Like he was probably like 110
Wait,
pounds.
how-
Some shit to look
how
like,
did
you know
he
what I
do
mean?
it?
He was like, yeah, you know what I mean? And then just seeing that, bro, I was like, okay, who the fuck is that guy? A, B, them some ugly ass shoes. And wasn't this nigga fucking with Moesha type shit? You know what I mean? I was like, damn, this motherfucker. I was like, I like this arrogant motherfucker, but I was like, I'm not really ready to give up Iverson at the time, right? Because it was like Iverson was just crossed over Jordan,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, that motherfucker the shit. But it wasn't until like as he grew older, and after he had a little trouble or whatever, I was like, okay. Yeah, I fuck with this guy. Like the mama mentality. Because I'm a Lakers fan. I don't know if y'all can tell. So
And what is that? What is the
the mama mentality?
Yes, please
So
tell me.
the mama mentality is constantly attacking a goal or just constantly trying to win, right?
Yeah.
And being relentless in doing it, like
Right.
never letting up and like killing anything that's in your way type shit, right?
Yeah.
So like let's say we're playing checkers, right? It's not good enough to just beat you by one like king, right? I gotta beat you by 10 kings.
Savage.
Yeah, I gotta like destroy you and break you. And I think that's what made Kobe, right? Because when he put that 81 up, man,
Yeah, he was a downright winner,
Assassin.
and like in every sense of the word,
Right.
Like, and that was one thing about Michael Jordan.
Facts.
Like whatever it took to win, he was gonna do. Whether it took being sick or being hurt, like he was gonna put it out on the line. And like one of the dopest things about Kobe Bryant is his freaking work ethic.
Yes.
Like if and then it translates to like so many other areas of life. Even if you
Right.
don't just think basketball, like anything you're trying to do in life, if you work that hard at it, if you have Mamba mentality, like you can't do anything other than be great.
and be great because it's the pursuit, right?
Yeah.
And it's a constant pursuit. Like, and it's
Right.
like, even though he didn't win every game, he didn't make every shot,
Right.
he didn't win every championship, it's like he didn't stop going hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
He pushed everyone else around him to go hard too. So, and even if like you look at his outside life, as far as like him even buying the helicopter for that reason, because I want to still be great in this field,
Yeah.
but I want to be a great father as
Right.
well. So this allowed me to skip over traffic and make plays and ballad recitals and basketball games, stuff like that. So that just goes to show you his mind state was, I'm just gonna get this shit done, bro.
Right. And that was one of the dopest things too, just seeing that interview post him passing.
Right.
Because his wife gave him an out in
Yes.
that. Like she said, hey, you don't have to do this. I can go get the kids, but it was so important to have that 20 minutes in the car with him. And that I feel like that's what a real father, a real man does for his responsibility, because so many people, when they meet obstacles in life, and things that are absolutely 100% their responsibility, they'll they'll fall to those obstacles. But real men, in my opinion, step up and they find a way.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? It's always an extra bit of yourself you can give to making things be successful.
Absolutely.
Him passing, man, it's almost like when Nipsey passed as well.
Facts.
Your
like
heart hurts.
Yeah, but it lit a fuel in me as a man.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's things that I want to achieve as a man, and it made me sit down and think about it like, damn, am I giving 110%?
Right. Right.
And like,
Right.
you know, ever since that, like, it's just been anytime I have an opportunity to do something and I want to kind of back out of it,
Right.
or I'm like, I'm too tired for this, is like, nah, man, I got something
keep
that I'm
going.
trying to achieve.
Right. I like that. Particularly, I've seen a lot of the memes and a lot of the posts about being a daughter's father.
Girl dad.
Girl dad, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I think that means a lot to me to see, because I lost my father when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And my father and I were very close. He did a lot of stuff with me. We would just drive places and sing in the car until we were blue in the face, until we ran out of breath. And we would also just do things together that I think no one else would understand. So having that type of relationship and coming off of that and feeling the loss for now majority of my life, and just thinking at different checkpoints, you know, what would it be like if I had this flat tire and I just learned how to drive?
Right.
And what if my dad could come and pick me up and, you know, save me, or come out here and change the tire? Or what would it have been like if my father taught me how to drive? Or, you know, relating it to things like that. But I always return, no matter what it is, you know, whether I'm dating or how someone thinks they're going to treat me, because I ain't going to stand for much. But how someone thinks that they're going to treat me, I always relate back to the bond that I had with my father and that beautiful relationship, and how time seemed endless when I was with him.
Right.
Yeah.
And that there wasn't anything that he expected for me. He just simply wanted me. It was like my life was a blank canvas, and that I just simply had to paint.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was my life.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the magnitude of my life at the moment. It was just that simple. And I think people and outside influences make it hard. And I feel that everyone needs that relationship with their father, and that his daughters had that moment with him at some point in their life.
Right. Right.
It's impactful.
Yeah.
It's influential, and it's something that they will carry for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So they're blessed in that aspect, but I definitely see and relate to and feel their loss.
Yeah. And I mean, to even like double down on it, you know, his oldest daughter died, you know.
I think it was the middle
second
child.
oldest.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Second oldest.
I apologize for that.
Gianna. Yep.
Gianna died, and it's like now the other sisters not only have to deal with grieving from losing their father,
Right.
but their sister, and then
Right.
you know his wife has to grieve with losing her husband and one of her children. You know, so it's like this is that amplifies it even more.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, because it's like, I don't know if you ever lost anybody, you know, it's like one day you have them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you get used to having them every single day. And then one day they're gone. And like, there's no returning, you know,
Right.
like there's it, but you want them to come back, or you know, or you always want to
That
watch.
object permanence, like you feel that they're there, but their absence is also there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
very much so. And then I also think about like, so Vanessa lost a husband and a daughter. The children lost a father and a sister, right? But then I also think about a girl's first love is her father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She, in a way, kind of patterns who she dates through her father, or her mannerisms in dating kind of come from either having him around or not having that father figure around, right?
Right.
So if they see like a father who's like a stand-up guy, he is this kind of person, whoop, 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 more than likely they're going to try to find a guy who's like, oh, my daddy did this, right?
Yeah.
Versus
for sure.
someone who probably didn't, they don't really have, like if they've never met their father. They don't have that image. They don't have the image and they don't have, what a man looks like type shit, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that kind of looks good to them, they might not know how to be treated or stuff like that. That's why it's important.
And there are people who are prey to that as well.
Pimps and shit like that.
Well, I will say the
pimps. You went straight from.
I'm gonna keep it real because that's what they do. I'm your daddy.
I'm sorry.
Well, one thing I will say about the difference in this situation is like because Kobe Bryant was so famous and like he left such a legend. Like they'll always be reminded of what type of man he was, and there's so much of him documented like that. They'll be able to see it on a larger scale than normal people would.
Right.
But then that actually made me think of something the other day. The other people who were affected by this as well, and the other people who lost their lives and their family members.
Yes.
What do you think of the fact that it could quite possibly, it's going to be in the media every year?
Every year, annually, same time.
It's going to be in the media, and quite possibly, all those lives, all lives are equal.
Yes.
Right.
But it's going to be in the media with them listed and their loved ones and family members and the people who they lost, who they're grieving as equally, are going to be non-mentionables.
Okay, so I'll be honest.
What do you think about that?
I'll be honest. I had a chance to think about that, and I get what you're saying. My thing is like when my dad or my stepdad died, like I didn't get a whole world of people knowing about that. So it's like they're not to downplay their deaths at all. And I'm not saying that, their lives are not equal. It's just people die every single day. Right. So and we don't all get that same luxury of having it played out in the media. Now, again, I can't empathize with it because I can see how that probably would maybe hurt more, or it would revisit that pain every time they mention Kobe. It's just like I don't want to kind of like let it kind of rain on Kobe's legacy because they're kind of separate things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But what I kind of, not to interrupt, but what I kind of think about is they're not having time to grieve properly.
Right. That's true.
Right. Because
how so?
Well, because now, hey, what's your last name? In the community that they stay in, Calabasas, right? So I think it's like, I might butcher names, I'm not gonna say it, but you're gonna say Mr. Smith was on the plane, right? And they know that you are Mr. Smith's daughter. Or let's say because your names are all over the place, people are gonna Google those names and see who those people are. Or they had this child, like there's one set of a brother and a sister who lost their sister, their mother and their father on that plane, right? They're not going to be able to grieve in privacy because now you're going to have reporters coming and calling and saying, hey, we want to interview you about your parents, or hey, can we be outside your lawn and stuff like that, because now your stuff is already public access. You just became a lot more famous. And you had another guy who was a coach who was on the plane too. He was kind of significant in that community. But now they're all worldwide names. They've been all over NBA games, all over the country, all over the world, broadcasted. And now people, whether we like it or not, some people are going to try to find out, okay, who these people are. And you may think you're doing a good thing by sending them that, bouquet of roses or whatever, but everyone grieves differently. So we don't know how that'll affect that person, right? So it's like when my dad died in October, it was like I ain't had no time to grieve because I had shit to do. See what I'm saying? Like I gotta work. I gotta get this fucking funeral together. I gotta get a fucking plot together. I gotta fucking get all this shit together. And we ended up not burying him on the day of the funeral because the shit just wasn't together, but we still had to keep going. I had to keep going. So in my mind, it's like, because I am like somewhat death struck, I've seen a lot of death in my life. I'm just like, bro, like I gotta keep going. And then I know eventually it's gonna hit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I was thankful that I had the chance to grieve in private. And, you have people calling and checking on you, that's cool. But there wasn't people just like blowing my shit up, blowing my social media up, blowing up my phone, doing my emails and things like that. Because you got to think about, like, sometimes you need that solitude.
You do.
Within yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
All right. So, we got 10 minutes, is what you're saying? 10 minutes? Okay. So, and sometimes you need that solitude, right? And I think that's where you find your peace and you can kind of get that cry out and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't get my cry out until I watched The Best Man, the holiday version and shit, because it was like, damn, like, I watched this shit like 4 times. I never cried, but now that my dad died from cancer, it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
here this shit comes, right? And there's certain triggers, and I'm happy that I was able to do that shit on my sofa versus having to, like, damn, they probably got to move away from their fucking house. You know what I'm saying? Because now your shit's public, and you got the local news, ABC, and all them folk camping outside your shit. And before that, y'all was never famous. That's something new.
And then also that mother, she has more daughters to raise.
Yes.
And more daughters to make sure that they are okay.
Yes.
And their top priority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that that's something that my mom went through as well, making sure that my brother and I, he's 2 years older than me. I was 11. He was 13 when my father passed away. And she had to make sure that we made it through and that we were okay and that we made it to marching band practice on time. And I was on homecoming court and all of those things. And she didn't skip a beat.
Right. And that's a lot of pressure for one person.
It is a lot of pressure. So I'm finding that so much later in life, that's when those people get the opportunity to grieve.
Right.
Yeah.
But how do they grieve? That's the question that, like, hopefully it's a good grieve where it's like you get a chance to cry and let it out.
Yeah.
And it's not a grieve where you're reflecting your pain and placing it upon somebody else too. Right. So I'm hoping they're getting hella counseling, because mentally that can fuck with you when you see somebody, well, even if you don't see them die, but prime example, they're seeing, oh, my dad was in a helicopter and it's all over the fucking news.
They're seeing the crash site
over and over. And then one of the girls had to go identify both of the parents. The one that I was talking about with the brother, she had to go up there and identify her parents and her sister.
I didn't know that.
See that shit like that. If it was me, I'm not letting my niece or anything like that come up there and identify those two people. I'm going to come do it. You know what I mean? I know she's the next of kin, but I'm going to come do it for her. I know exactly what they look like.
Yeah.
But you got to think about that. So now she's lost parents and a sister, and I had to identify my people. That's deep. You understand what I'm saying? And if anybody's ever known somebody to get murdered or something like that, bro, like, that's some deep ass shit that you really don't want to go through, bro. Like, that shit's heartbreaking, and especially somebody like your parent.
It alters you as a person.
Yes.
Yeah. Because what happens is you start kind of wanting different outcomes.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, because this was a helicopter crash, you start rationalizing in your mind, like, dang, what if they hadn't took the helicopter that day?
Yep.
What if they had a different pilot? Like, what if they had what if this would have been different, you know? So I can kind of understand, like, when it's an accidental death,
Right.
versus, you know, when it's somebody passing for health reasons.
Right.
Because, like you said, I lost my stepfather to cancer, you know, and it's like I got to watch him, you know, pass.
Right.
I got to be there. I got to experience the end. So I got to kind of come to my own terms with it,
Right.
you know, while he was still here, or I got to you know, put my will on the situation. Like,
Right.
did I drive down to see him that day? You know,
Right.
when you have those opportunities, it's a different outcome than when you just get a phone call and this person is gone.
And it's random.
Yeah.
And then it's like the cherishing. It makes you should cherish the moments you have with your family, because making it home is not guaranteed as leaving the house.
You know,
Go ahead. I was going to change this subject a little bit. Did you see that T.I., I know he was in the media a lot for going to the gynecologist with his daughter and making sure her, you know, virginity was still intact.
Right.
He apologized to his family after this tragic incident,
Right.
this tragic death. And just apologizing to them and letting them know that he loves them and cares for them and What do you all think about that?
I think it's better late than never, right? And I think that's something, even though he said he did it jokingly, we don't know if it was serious or not. But the fact that you did that, the embarrassment you caused your daughter, and possibly on the other daughter who is not really your child. Well, it is your child because you raised them. I'm not going to say that, but not your birth child, right? So that might have caused embarrassment on her and caused stuff like people to question her. And did he do that to you too? Really? Did he really go on your gynecologist meeting and all that shit? So that's an embarrassment. But for him to make an atonement and apologize and do it the same way he embarrassed him, which is publicly, I feel like that's a dope thing to do. Right.
Yeah, it stops them from that being the last memory of him.
Right.
Like if something was to happen to him today, because he's, it could be the same situation. If something was to happen to him and that be like one of the last events that happened, in their lives, I wouldn't want my family to go out thinking of me in that way. I want to atone for it, and I want to kind of leave it on a positive note. And I think that's a lesson for anything in life, is if you are at wit's end with any family or any friends or anybody in general, just fix that shit while you have time.
Facts.
Because tomorrow's not promised, right?
I think most people are living as if they are superhuman.
Yeah.
Right.
As if there's no end. I always say that my biggest goal in life would be for me to be able to live without any time constraints and just exist.
And that's the greatest gift that we have, is time. It heals all, it sees all, it reveals all too, if you think about it. So that's a dope ass concept she's talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like if you could just have a bunch of time, but if you think about it, you got a bunch of time. It's about how you manage that shit.
Speaking of time,
you feel me? Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have.
We got 3 minutes, 28 seconds. Goddamn it! So
we got to wrap this thing on up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been another episode of A Seat at the Table, man, and we want to give our strongest and deepest condolences to Vanessa Bryant and the Kobe Bryant family, and even his father, Jelly Bean Bryant, and his mother and his sisters and stuff like that, and the rest of his daughters,
and all the other people that were
truly affected and deeply affected, man. And we're here with you. We're all hurting and painful, man. And Kobe, I had to do it one time, man. It's just the right thing. I grew up doing this shit. Shout out to Dave Chappelle, Kobe. But anyway, I'm Marcus Avery.
Kelsey Nashay.
I'm Eric Easy Money.
Yes, sir. And this is A Seat at the Table.
A seat at the table.
Peace. Be a good person. We got this motherfucker.